Hey everyone, today I'm making these charms. They are just round pieces that I have cut out. I believe I've done all of these with a hole punch, a 1-inch hole punch. And I have used these metal pieces I got from Amazon, circle open bezel, and they are in my storefront. If you go to my Amazon storefront, I know that I have linked these. I bought several different colors. These are like a brass is what it says, and they fit perfectly around these. And I had a viewer ask me how I made them that they would like to see, and I'm going to show you that. Some of them I used with book page, and I just did some stamping. I think this one is actually a napkin that I just glued down to, probably more than likely it's packaging, a cereal box, or anything. But there's just two main things that you need to do this. You have to have one or the other. You can either have a frame like these, the little round metal pieces, or you can use jump rings. And jump rings, they can be the double jump ring, they can be the little single jump ring. You can use bottle caps. I'm going to try it today with buttons that kind of have a curve. They kind of have a little dip. You mainly just want something that either can be the base for it or the circle for it. We can do them on pieces like this. This is a milk, like for a milk jug. What do they call them? Milk caps. You mainly either want a base to surround it, because we make these with glossy accents. And you can either use glossy accents or Mod Podge dimensional. They both work wonderful. The only difference is the glossy accents leaves more of a flat surface, and of course the dimensional is a little more rounded. They both work the same otherwise, and this is just what I happen to have in here. But I do have the Mod Podge as well. It works the same, except like I said, it gives it a little more dimension, and it takes longer to dry. The glossy accents dries a little bit faster. So anything that you can use as a base, you can make these with. If you don't have a base, you can use just paper, as long as it's not thin paper. It has to, then you have to have something to glue it to, like cardstock or packaging, something, because I have tried it on just paper before and it will warp. It doesn't work well and it will crack. You have to either have something sturdy for it to set on or something for it to set in, if that makes sense. So I've just gathered up some round things here, things that have a little bit of a dip where we could put the glossy accents in. And then I just cut this. Actually, I didn't even cut it. It's from a game piece I got from Addie. I'm sorry. Why do I keep calling her Addie? Maddie from Maddie's Paper Dolls. She sells with me on Fridays sometimes. I'll link her channel below. But I got these game pieces from her. Now, this isn't as thin as copy paper, but I believe it will still warp. So I'm going to glue it to some packaging, and I'm not going to use a circle, and it will work just fine. I like to use, as my bases, I've grabbed like this really pretty scrapbook paper. You can cut out the circles. You can use rub-ons, put them on a base like this, and put them in a circle. You can use, like this one, I took a picture, a digital, put it under, I glued it to a piece of packaging, and then filled it with the glossy accents. Again, this one has a frame, a round metal frame. You could, they don't even have to be round. You could use something oval. You could use squares. As long as they're glued to something sturdy, you can go around them and make a really cool charm. So let's just, oh, here's another thing you could do. You could take cardboard cutouts, like, oh, what do you call these? Like they're cardboard pieces. And if you want, just go around this. I would punch my hole first so that when you punch it, it doesn't crack your glossy accents. But you could do something like this, these chipboard pieces, and just go over the top. You could ink around them and make them look like something really, like a really cool charm. But I thought I just stamped some letters on this. They spell journal. And I got these from Amazon. Again, I'm pretty sure they're in my storefront. They look like this. They're from Global Land. And it's just like typewriter key looking letters and numbers. And I went ahead and stamped them on here. And I do have some jump rings. This is the double jump ring. And I'm just going to lay those right around those circles. And I'm going to fill them with glossy accents. That's all that is. And I'm going to show you. Let me get some more that same size. Just laying them around those where I've stamped the best that I can. And we're going to fill it with glossy accents. And then once it dries, you need to, once a flat surface, it will still work. If your surface is not completely flat, it will run out from underneath your little metal ring, but it will still dry. You can still cut around it. It will still stay together, and it works really well. These are so easy to make, and there's just so many different things you can use and do. I'm hoping that the buttons turn out. I've never tried it with buttons, so this will be a little bit something different. I don't know if others have tried it with buttons. I haven't seen it if they have. But I was thinking, Navy had brought me, he gets into the buttons. He loves buttons. And he had gotten into the buttons. And I brought me some that had the little dip in the middle. And I thought, I bet I could feel that with, like maybe put down a piece of napkin, glue a piece of napkin, and then fill it with glossy accents, and it will probably work. Now, something I'll tell you, glossy accents sometimes will leave bubbles. And the best way to do that is to squeeze all the air out before you start filling your deal. And you can kind of see the air. It'll be in the nozzle. But I kind of do it like you would a cookie dough. Or if you were icing a cookie, go around the edge and it will fill up the middle. And when you're done with this part, if you notice some bubbles, simply take a straight pin and poke them or move them over to the edge and get them out, because they most of the time will not dry out. See, that one has a bubble right there, and I'll have to get that out. Most of the time they will not dry out. They'll dry with that little air bubble, and I mean, it doesn't hurt anything. It's just a matter of if you don't probably want that look, I don't think. Or maybe that's just my OCD acting like it's a big deal when it's probably not. Okay, I'm going to lay this on its side so that it won't hopefully get any air in it. I have some straight pins, so I don't know if you can see the little air bubble, and I don't really want to move it, but I just poked it and it went away. And so as far as I can tell, all of those, none of these have an air bubble. So I'm just going to kind of scoot them over here. I'm going to move this whole thing when we get done, so I'm hoping I can scoot them without disturbing them too much. That worked out good. Okay, now I'm going to take, I've stamped one side of this milk cap, but I think for the other side, I'm going to glue down some napkin. I have a piece of napkin here. I could stamp a number on it. I've got a butterfly here. It's probably a little bit redundant because there's a butterfly on the back side, but I'm just going to glue it right there. I might stamp a number or something in a minute, but I'm just going to take my glue, like a glue stick, see if I can get it here in camera. I don't want to put it on that because I don't want to risk jarring the ones I've already done. So this is just a part of a napkin, and I took my water pen around the edge and cut it out, or tore it off of the napkin. And then I'm going to trim around it because I've obviously went over the edges. So now we have our butterfly on there, And we don't have to even wait for it to dry. I have a little number stamp here. I think I'll do a number right there. I like to use StazOn because it's waterproof and it dries really quickly. You could always also use some script in the background. That looks nice when you go over it with the glossy accents. I said I wasn't gonna set it straight up so the bubbles didn't come, and I forgot and done it anyway. So now I'm going to take my vintage sepia and I want to go around the edges. Since I'm not going to put any kind of a metal ring or anything, this is all the decoration. I want to make it where it kind of stands out, like maybe that's the ring of it. Now I'm going to use my StazOn Timber Brown just to make it a little bit darker. Then we're going to do the same thing, and it already has a hole in it, so I'll just go around the edge. And this is a thicker, you know, if you've ever messed with milk caps, you know they're pretty thick. So I don't worry about it warping on me. And then when I get over here to where the little hole is, I just kind of go around it and it will pretty much stay where it's at. And I'm just kind of going around in a circle. And now I'm going to let it dry. So I'll push that over to the edge. There's another one we have. Now I love doing bottle caps. They're a lot of fun. And they're just about the right size to use a 1-inch punch. And I have some Christmas paper here. I'm going to be making some Christmas charms. I might as well get that started, huh? So I'm going to do these little boy and girl. Aren't they cute? Let's do one of them. And of course we need a Santa Claus. And I'm going to ink around them. I'm also going to go over it a little bit with the darker brown, the timber brown. Fits right in that little soda cap. This is a soda cap too, it's just flat, whereas this one has the edges. And there's no need for a second, I'm dumping them back out. No need for a different, you know, any other kind of glue or a different supply. You can just use your glossy accents, fill the bottom. You don't have to put a lot, just enough to make your little cutout stay in place. I just give it a good push down. And I think before I did the glossy accents, then I cut my hole, but I think this time I'm going to cut my hole first. I just used my crocodile. It works really well cutting through the metals. Got a little circle on that one. And on the ones that have the edge, they're a little trickier because it kind of will push out your edge a little bit, but it's nothing really bad. I think they still look nice. See it kind of on the back, you can kind of tell it warps it a little bit, but it's not a big deal. So then we're going to do the same thing and fill those with glossy accents. And another thing you could do, what I'm going to do, because I like the hole to be inked just like the rest of it. So I take these hobby tips that were gifted to me by a really sweet lady, and I just go in that circle so that you probably can't tell it on camera, but I can tell it here. And after I put the glossy accents on, it'll probably just show up even more. So I've just filled that hole a little bit. Now I'm going to fill them with the glossy accent. And while we're at it, before we fill them all, how about we do a couple of our buttons? I think this one's going to be a little bit small, but I'm going to try it anyway. I mean, when I say a little bit small, I don't think the 1-inch punch is really what I need. I may have to trim it down just a little bit. Let's do something with just like these words and stars. I think they look nice. Something like that, and then I'll stamp it in red. Yeah, I may have to make it just a little bit smaller. And don't worry too much about if you don't cut a perfect round circle, because I certainly don't cut a perfect round circle. I'm just trying to follow the guideline of the, you know, having the punch already. Just kind of going around the inside there. Well, I may have to end up cutting off all my stars. That'll work like that. Or I could have taken a napkin and covered it just as well. But I think I want to stick with this. I like this idea. Get my little piece back out of there. I'm going to go around this one in red. And then I'm also going to stamp the number 25 in red, like, you know, since it's going to be a Christmas one. And I have these numbers that I also got these from Amazon, and they pull apart and you can put whatever you want together. And I'm going to put a little bit of my glue, my glossy accents. Now this, you could either go ahead and punch the holes from the backside with the button, you know, the buttonhole, you could punch that out, or you could leave it as it is, and it could be something that you glue to your page, or, you know, however you would like to do that. But I think because of where those buttonholes are and how I've glued this in here, I think I'm going to leave it just like it is, and I'll end up putting it on a cluster or something like that. But I think that looks nice. Okay, and then for this piece that's the thin, I'm going to glue it to some cardstock. I'm actually going to do it on the side that has color, and I'm going to just scratch some of that off so that it gets a nice good seal with the glue. And then I'll have the back side that I can stamp or do something else to. I'm going to just glue that down just like that. And this is going to be a really cool piece. You don't even have to, doesn't even matter if it's straight because we're going to go over it anyway. And for the last one, let's try this button. I have some cutouts here. This one says greetings. That would be kind of neat, glued in there like that. These are like fussy cuts, but you could always lay your button down and draw around it, which I think that might be what I do with this right here to make it fit in my button. Gonna cut inside that line. Since I traced around the outside, I know it needs to be a little bit smaller to fit inside the button. So I'm gonna ink around this. And even if part of our button shows, it's kind of a neat look because my button is brown too, so this will look kind of neat. And this is just regular, I printed this on regular copy paper, and so that it, you know, I have this base, so it's going to be, it's going to hold down really well. Isn't that neat? And now we're going to use our glossy accents. We're going to go over it. It's going to look pretty. And I'm wondering, those are too far down, or maybe I want to go ahead and poke the holes. I'll use my awl. Either I can thread something through it and, you know, like to put it down on a cluster, or I can put it in a bow pin or hang a string from it. However, we'll have lots of options when it comes time. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do all 5 of these with our glossy accents. We're going to just fill these in just like you were icing a cookie. Now, I did read online, if you have a bubble and it's already dry, can you get it out? And it says you can poke that bubble, and I'm just going to put that underneath there like that. Lay my metal ring on the top. It says that after it's dry, you can poke that hole and then fill it back with glossy accents. But I did try that, and it really didn't. Maybe I wasn't doing it right, but to me, it just didn't really look right. And there we go. I'm going to let all of these dry, give them time to dry, and we will come back and finish them up tomorrow. Because really, for them to get really set, I really feel they need a good 24 hours. They'll be where you can touch them in less time than that, but really to mess with them, handle them, and cut around like we're going to do on these two, it needs to be a good 24 hours. So we'll come back when it's time. How exciting. Yay. Okay, so these are dry, and in fairness, all but this one, this big one, was dry to the touch. Like you could mess with them after about 7 hours. This one is wonderful, and it's probably been, it's probably been over 12. It was probably 12 hours before this one got good and hard, and I would still let them cure for 24 hours just to make sure. But isn't that a cool charm? I mean, seriously, all you have to have is a ball pen. And then you really want to jazz it up. You put some dyed laces with it, and, you know, maybe some stamped words, you know, to hang it. They're just so fun. And they're flat, so you could glue them to a page. This was the milk cap. Of course, I've stamped the back of mine because I figure I'll make a charm out of it. These are the ones that we did, that we punched a piece of Christmas paper and we just put the metal ring around it. This is the back, and what I like to do with that is ink it and then stamp it. I usually ink it up real good, and sometimes I put a number, sometimes I put a word on there, or you can glue it flat. And I'm doing this just to show you, but I mean, none of this is necessary. The charm itself really is done because you can always just glue it flat or put it on top of a cluster. And then if you wanted to make a hole after the fact, you can always take it all, put like a sponge or something underneath, and just make your hole. And do it slowly. Just twist, twist, twist. Don't try to jab it down in there or you will crack your glossy accents. So I'm just putting a little pressure and twisting it back and forth. Another thing, and I have done it, that I've used, and that's just like that, that's through. And now you have a hole that you can put your ball pen or whatever you want. I've also used like a Dremel tool, and those work really well to go through this. Again, I would wait 24 hours to make sure it's good and cure before you use the Dremel on it. This is one of the flat bottle caps. Aren't they cute? Didn't they turn out good? And this is the buttons. I really like this one. I would probably fill it some more if I was going to glue it onto something, but I mean, it's definitely pretty enough just the way it is. But I might put some more in it just to make it even up. Now this one, and you probably all saw this coming when I poked the holes, and I got my glossy accents on the holes, so of course it ran through, and it doesn't, I mean, it's shiny, has a really nice texture to it, but it all ran to the back. A lot of it ran to the back, so it doesn't have that stand-up quality, you know, I say dimensional quality of the other ones, because a lot of it ran out through the holes. But it just picks right off, and there that one is. It says greetings. And then, like this one, this is the one we glued to the packaging, and it was just a regular piece of paper, a little bit heavier, I would say, than copy paper. You can also do this with copy paper, but like I said before, you have to glue that copy paper to something sturdier, or it will just bow up, it'll warp, and it won't stay flat, it won't be pretty, and it will crack. And your paper will just look like a bowl. But I'm just cutting around this one. Same thing, I would probably ink up the back, or I would probably glue this one flat to a cluster because it's so flat and it's small. It's just wonderful shape. So there's that one. And then the ones that spelled out journal that we did glue to just copy paper, I just cut those around just like I did that one. And if any of it leaks out from underneath, you just cut it. It's nice because you can cut right up next to that jump ring that we laid on top. You can use these to embellish the front of your cover. You could spell out words. Isn't that neat? Isn't that fun? And again, this was just glossy accents, a normal piece of paper, and a stamp. And just trim that as close as you can so that it's nice and flush. And there you have your little letters. And I'll just continue to do that with all of these. And like I said, this was just normal. Actually, my tea-dyed paper is 22 pound, and I think regular copy paper is 18. Work just as well, I'm sure, on regular copy paper. And again, if you decided to poke a hole, just do it with your awl, ink the back, however you want to do it. And I'll cut these out later. But again, let your imagination run wild. There are so many things. Oh, I was going to hang one of these from a hidden paper clip. I thought that would be cute. Let your imagination run wild. And I love this paper clip. Isn't that cute? If it has a recessed area at all, or, you know, a concave space, in other words, you can make a charm out of it. You can fill it. You can just, something that's flat. You don't even have to have a concave space. And I'll probably, I think I want to put the number 25 on the back of this. Maybe I need to make my hole just a little bit larger with my awl. And again, I'm going to be real slow about it because I don't want to take the chance of cracking I don't want to crack my glossy accents and then twist it back out. There, I made my hole just a little bit bigger. And I think I want to stamp a number on the back of this one. So of course I have to stamp the number 25, making sure I have it turned the right way. Of course, I kind of know it is with the hole at the top. And then one more thing that you can do on something like this where you're going to have the back to show is I like to finish it off where it will be, you know, have a glossy look to it as well, you know, like and it kind of, I don't necessarily put a lot, I just put a small coat, and with my finger I just smooth it down, and it doesn't take long to dry when it's not thick. It's just a coating like that, probably half hour, that will be dry, and the back of it will be nice and glossy like that. I think while I've got this out, I'm going to go ahead and fill this one just a little bit more. I got an air bubble in that one, so I'm going to use my pen and get that out and try to bring it where you can see the bubble. And I poked it and it just popped. So there I was going to hang a charm, but I've now put that on the back of it. Another fun thing you can do with the ones that are metal is you can take some alcohol inks if you don't like just the silver. And I do have markers that work well too, the alcohol ink markers. I think they get a little streaky for me. Kind of got some red and green. This isn't really green. It's called Laguna. You could also do it with, and maybe I will, this is an alcohol ink. It's red. And I think I'm just going to, you can tell my gloves I use a lot for alcohol ink. I'm going to put a little bit on my finger and just kind of dot it around. I accidentally got some on my charm. I'm not tickled about that. See, I got some on my charm. I didn't want to do that. So really, I guess if you were going to ink up your metal piece, you would want to do that first. Or be a lot more careful than I was being. Could always put some on the back. I think I'll put some in, like, hopefully it'll go around in those crevices. Isn't that fun? And now you have the back of it looks very festive as well. But I'm sad that I got some of it on my little girl. That's okay. I'm sure I'll make another one. But you could take Stays On. I have forest green. That would be good. But Stays On will also stay on the metal. So you could take this. It's not quite dry. And just go over your metal a little bit where you have the red and the green. I think that looks pretty. Could also do that with this one, but I think that's really fun. I was going to hang something from my bow pin here. See, and the thing with this button is you can still hang it, even though it has 4 holes, you could still hang it and it would look cute. But what I really wanted was this one that I put the glossy accents on the back. Still a little sticky, but it won't take it long to dry. But won't that be cute like this? I'll take it back off, but just to kind of give you an idea, probably would work better if I put a little jump ring, but it hangs really well just like that. Isn't that cute? What a fun thing to put on the side of a page. And that, I think, just makes it. So I'll let this one finish drying. I really like this one. I wish I hadn't. You know what I could do? Bet I could fix that. Hold, please. I've got a baby wipe here that obviously I've been using, but I'm going to spray a little bit of this isopropyl on here. That's 90-some% alcohol. I'm going to try to see if I can get that off my glossy accents. Oh my gosh, you guys, it worked. Yahoo! Yay, so I got the red off my little girl. She has blonde hair again. So with that being said, I probably wouldn't even mess with this alcohol inks. I have red StazOn. I've already put it on the back and got it all over my hands, but I can touch it up with this because I got some of it off, I think, when I was using my alcohol inks. But just use I would just use StazOn if you had colored StazOn. Make sure you wipe that alcohol off your glossy accents so it doesn't hurt it. I don't know that it would, but it seems like it would. What do you think of that? Is that cute? And then we also, see, this is why I'm so slow at doing anything. I just keep on and keep on. But I was thinking that, you know, with this being StazOn and it dries on anything, let's take some of our black StazOn and stamp another number 25 on the back of this metal. And you know what's fun about charms like this? It didn't show up very well. Shucks. See it at all? I can see it, but just barely. Oh, that's better. Can you see it? There it is. You can put these on packages at Christmas time. Wouldn't that be a fun little thing? And then they can hook it onto their keychain or anything like that. I think that's so much fun. Tie it on the outside of your packages. It's just a neat little addition to your Christmas. I hope this has inspired you in some way and answered some questions. I know that I've had several requests wanting to know how to, and let's put a jump ring on this. I think it will hang better with a jump ring. Wanting to know how to make the glossy accent charms because I've shown them on several things. Seems like I always have them laying around somewhere ready to put on charms. I just think they're so handy. They just really make a fun, quick, really cute accent to anything. So now it should be a little easier to put on my paper clip and hang a little bit better. Cute. What do you think? I love these. Anyway, I hope this has inspired you to make your own. Look around and see what kind of things you have that maybe you can fill with the glossy accents and make your own charms. I really like this one. I'm really going to put some lace and doctor this one up. Sorry about my fingers. I have ink all over them now. Have to ink around this as well. And this bottle cap kind of has a glaze. So it's, I mean, it's not really a glaze, but it's not totally flat. So I probably won't put any glossy accents on the back. But you could do it just like we did the other one and put a really thin coat. Yeah, I think that looks nice. You could put a really thin coat like we did on this one to give it that finished look if you want to. So I just wanted to quickly recap. I think we have, I don't know, 5 or 6 things here we've made them out of. We did the rings like this, so that's one. We did just paper that was glued to cardstock, and I did make some more. This is like a label or a tag that you cut from what you've printed on copy paper, and I glued it to packaging to give it that stability. So there's 2 different ways. Here's another one. Isn't it cute? It's like a little letter. We have the, you know, paper on cardstock, the bottle caps. These are milk caps. And then, of course, using the jump rings. You can use any size of jump ring. These are jump rings. These are these are like metal rings. They're not jump rings. They're a solid ring like this. We did a couple on buttons. A couple of different kinds of pop caps. So again, don't limit yourself to it being a circle. Anything that has, you know, you can cut it, do any size you want, especially something like this where you're going to glue it to packaging and you'll have whatever shape that you want it to be. But again, I did a whole bunch more. And I will also say, I think I mentioned it before, it doesn't take the full 24 hours to set up because like these 2 right here, see, I can touch them and I don't want to bend them yet because I can tell they're still a little cool to the touch. You know, like if I bent them a lot, they would probably crack. But I think literally I just done these probably 4, 5 hours ago, and I can already touch them. But I would say for sure, if you want to start putting holes and things in them, let them cure for at least 24 hours. I hope this helps. I hope it has given you some ideas and opened up your imagination for ways to use the glossy accents and ways to make some really cool charms of your own. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope this has inspired you in some way to get out all of the things and see what kind of things you can feel and make charms out of. This Friday, Cotty will be, she is with Paint Paper Play, I believe is the name of her channel. I will link it below. Not exactly sure. I haven't met with Cotty yet. She was going to go over some things that she's going to be bringing. I'm sure it will be really cool things, lots different than I bring because she's a very different crafter, a very original fun crafter. So I hope that you can join us on Friday. Again, thank you for watching. God bless, and I will see you next time. Bye.